You stop chasing money and start carrying money's posture. You move like capital trusts your hands already. You hold the room the way a vault holds quiet. You walk like balance is printed, not promised. Old mode begs rooms for space. New mode sets terms and times. Old mode scans price tags. New mode scans alignment and fit. Old mode waits for permission. New mode writes the contract. Old mode discounts to be chosen. New mode chooses the work. Identity writes the ledger before numbers follow. Being precedes evidence, and evidence arrives on schedule. Coherence condenses outcomes when your signal stops wavering. Precision removes drag that hesitation keeps adding. Stop earning what your identity already authorizes. Speak rates a portfolio owner would accept without flinch. Stand like premium is your baseline, not your stretch. Carry margin in your tone, not an apology. In a quiet morning cafe, you order without shrinking. You choose the small table near the window and the light. Your card leaves your wallet without a story attached. You sign the receipt with clean letters and a calm wrist. You do not narrate your budget to strangers. You do not explain your price to yourself. At a boutique, you weigh the coat by cut, not discount. You look at construction, drape, stitching, and long wear. You count cost per use, not a weekend thrill. You buy for the portfolio called your presence. In a negotiation, you sit upright and breathe once. You state your retainer and the scope without padding. You leave silence in the space where apology once lived. You ask for wiring details as if the work already began. Dock your attention to the exact outcome you commit. Chart your week so cash flow and craft do not collide. Trim the busy loops that keep you cheap and tired. Stow the urge to explain when terms are clear. Signal your rate in writing, short and simple. Stamp your name on one brave invoice today. File the retainer proposal before lunch lands. Tally your hours in real time, not at midnight. Reconcile your promises with your calendar this hour. Settle the open invoice by a direct call. Moor your boundaries when scope starts to swell. Birth your goals where daily steps can reach. Steer your day by the numbers that matter. Ballast your schedule with deep work you protect. You step through the gangway into a different harbor. The old tide shouts your old price and old pace. You hear it and keep walking toward your berth. This is reorganization, not failure or storm. You dock with a nameplate that reads owner, not applicant. You clear customs by declaring clean books and clean intent. You tie the mooring lines of word, rate, and delivery. You log the quay you chose, not the quay assigned. Thought, speech, action tell one story under pressure. Your words keep the same rate the contract holds. Your actions match the promises printed on the invoice. Your tone carries equity even when someone doubts. Remembrance beats performance when stress spikes. You remember the capital you steward and why it matters. You remember the balance between speed and accuracy. You remember the yield of saying no to noise. If money is a tide, your keel rides steady water. If money is wind, your hull answers with clean lines. But you never chase wind, you set canvas with care. You face the lighthouse of your numbers without flinch. You carry millions in how you place your feet. Your shoulders hold a ledger of self-respect. Your breath keeps rate like a metronome for cash flow. Your calendar looks like a portfolio, not a panic. Start with subtraction that creates weight and clarity. Delete the discount habit that leaks respect. Remove the backup plan that keeps you half in. Close the tab that sells you a smaller life. Stop proving and start delivering exactly what is due. Stop convincing and start selecting aligned clients. Stop auditioning for rooms you should own. Stop rehearsing worst cases in your head. Choose coordinates, then move like arrival is coded. Walk, speak, and decide from the end state forward. Set your credit limit in your mind and honor it. Set your rate and write it where you can see it. Write one clear money sentence you repeat under stress. It fits on one line and ends with a period. For example, my retainer is this and my scope is that. Say it the same on good days and hard days. Micro within 24 hours, run this protocol clean. Chart 3 purchases you will make with zero apology. File 1 email that raises your retainer for a client. Stamp a weekly review slot that will not move. Tally 4 numbers daily: revenue, expenses, pipeline, cash. Settle 1 small debt today to close an open loop. Stow cash into an investment account before entertainment. Reconcile your calendar with your priorities tonight. Signal your new rate on your website by tomorrow. Pre-commit so tomorrow cannot wriggle. Text appear your new floor and ask them to hold you. Schedule an automatic transfer that triggers at sunrise. Write a single paragraph about the future you already carry. Sign it with today's date and put it in your wallet. Scene your next morning like a controlled harbor. Your phone stays flat during the first deep work hour. Your coffee sits beside a short list of paid priorities. Your posture tells a different story than your old balance. Scene your afternoon like a clean ledger close. You send invoices before tasks expand to fill time. You confirm deliverables and log the next paid step. Your desk looks like capital respects your surface. Scene your evening like a quiet quay. You review cash flow without drama or gossip. You read a page about pricing power and close the book. You turn lights off knowing tomorrow is already charted. Your language no longer leaks your old ceiling. You stop saying just sorry, quick, and cheap. You start saying scope, terms, delivery, and timing. You speak in numbers when numbers are needed. Move at a pace that says premium without a word. Move with presence that says margin without strain. Move with choices that widen equity over months. Move with patience that compounds interest on trust. When someone asks for a rush, you price the rush. When someone requests discount, you price for context. When someone doubts your rate, you hold your line. When someone pays, you deliver exactly as promised. Audit the rooms you enter and the chairs you take. Audit the voices that flatten your ambition. Audit the content that keeps you scared of price. Audit the tasks that never generate revenue. Replace apology with clarity and options. Replace chasing with choosing and scheduling. Replace busy with booked and billable. Replace frenzy with cadence and close. Your body becomes your proof of funds. Your walk becomes your retained earnings. Your calendar becomes your market signal. Your choices become your dividend stream. Keep your promises like they are insured. Keep your word like it pays interest. Keep your scope like it protects equity. Keep your boundaries like they guard capital. Money trusts a person who trusts their own math. Markets reward a person who keeps their word. Clients return to a person who sets clear terms. Teams follow a person who owns the decision. Hold millions in your head before they land in your account. Hold millions in your tongue before they land in your invoice. Hold millions in your spine before they land in your ledger. Hold millions in your calendar before they land in your balance. The title is not millionaire. The title is steward. Stewardship treats price as a truth, not a plea. Stewardship treats time as capital, not a bin. Stewardship treats brand as equity, not noise. When pressure rises, your keel stays straight. When temptation calls, your compass points home. When markets swing, your ballast keeps you steady. When delays stack, your wake still reads forward. Every small act writes compound sentences in your future. Every clear no writes a cleaner yes later. Every priced hour prints a longer runway. Every aligned client raises your rate without words. If you hesitate, touch the gangway and step again. If doubt yells, check the manifest, then proceed. If fear pulls, look to the lighthouse and continue. If noise swells, listen for the metronome of your breath. You do not chase, put your life on the quay. You select and invite, then you close the gate. You create space by removing what never paid. You create proof by delivering what you priced. Dock your identity to the number you claim. Chart the day from the settlement backward. Trim the story that says later and maybe. Stow the backup plan that splits your spine. Signal the room by how you carry your hour. Stamp your calendar with the work that builds equity. File this week as the week you turn the ship. Tally the wins at night with pen, not memory. Reconcile your tone with your target market. Settle into the berth named owner and mean it. Type docked wealth below and then stand tall. Spend slow, set terms. Subscribe for more, and then watch the next piece on retainer pricing that locks your baseline. You move as if liquidity already recognizes your signature. You hold your choices like deeds, not guesses. You price the hour like a berth with limited space. You direct attention like a captain allocates crew. Old mode weighs opinions, new mode weighs outcomes. Old mode asks for a chance, new mode sets a standard. Old mode stacks tasks, new mode sequences revenue. Old mode apologizes for price, new mode itemizes value. Identity sets the watermark and numbers rise to meet it. Evidence follows the tone of your decisions under strain. You chart your quarter with 3 lanes you protect. You keep delivery, development, and deal flow separate and clean. You post revenue on Fridays and review costs on Mondays. You reconcile pipeline midweek when emotions run quiet. You lock your mornings for deep work the market pays for. You shift meetings to the afternoon where context is lighter. You guard evenings for reading, rest, and next day plotting. You sleep like a person with settlements in motion. Scene 1. The bank manager greets you by name, and you nod once. You open a separate account for tax and another for reserves. You set a standing transfer the moment each invoice clears. You request a higher limit because your history supports it. No story, no theater, clean paperwork, and steady eye contact. You leave with new cards and unchanged posture. Scene 2, a real estate viewing with long corridors and quiet lifts. You ask about net yield, service charges, and tenant history. You test the windows, the pressure, the light at 4 p.m. You note the noise at the stairwell and the roof warranty date. You do not rush the offer because your criteria already sit on paper. Scene 3, a late-night desk with a ledger and a cool lamp. You reprice the project that kept scope creeping. You draft a boundary email with 2 options and a clear fee. You send it before sleep, so the night carries the message. You rise without checking replies. The day still holds its line. Select clients who match your pace, not your fear. Select rooms where price is data, not drama. Select channels where buyers gather with intention. Select projects that add to brand equity on delivery. Trim one meeting that adds heat without adding cash. Trim one tool that invoices you but never compounds. Trim one habit that keeps you searching rather than building. Trim one excuse that sounds clever but stalls revenue. Stow small wins where you can see them when doubt flares. Stow signed contracts in a single folder you open daily. Stow your floor price on a card inside your notebook. Stow your next 3 moves on a single line for clarity. Chart conversations like voyages with start and end points. Chart follow-ups with dates, not vibes. Chart handovers with checklists, not memory. Chart payment terms with milestones, not hope. Dock each promise to a time and a cost. Dock each idea to a test and a decision. Dock each investment to a horizon and a threshold. Dock each partnership to a clause and an exit. You hold the wheel when others drift into weather. You adjust sail area, not the destination. You bank energy by saying no faster than before. You collect respect by finishing on time without fuss. Your calendar signals premium because it is not porous. Your inbox reflects order because you archive with intent. Your meetings start on the minute and end on the minute. Your proposals read like navigation, not poetry. When pressure hits, you do the next price step. When doubt spikes, you open the ledger, not a gossip thread. When delay arrives, you build the milestone you reached. When noise expands, you narrow to the contract and deliver. Price the rush and send the number without adjectives. Price the change request and send 2 paths only. Price the retainer with a floor and a review date. Price the value add and list the benefit in 1 line. You do not barter your word for a promise of future work. You do not dilute scope to win a friend. You do not pay with your sleep for someone else's delay. You do not subsidize confusion with silence. You rehearse arrival by moving funds before you feel ready. You rehearse ownership by introducing yourself with your lane. You rehearse clarity by reading your rate aloud each morning. You rehearse steadiness by walking at 1 speed in any lobby. Pre-commit with a public pledge to your new minimum. Pre-commit with a recurring transfer on payday without exception. Pre-commit with a review ritual at the same hour each week. Pre-commit with a written clause you never remove. Your posture is a prospectus others can read at distance. Your voice is a term sheet, concise and legible. Your desk is a trading floor, quiet and disciplined. Your bag carries contracts, pen, and a simple calculator. You build a cash runway like a breakwater against storms. You build optionality like spare lines on a busy dock. You build margin like ballast hidden below the waterline. You build reputation like a lighthouse that never flickers. Audit suppliers for reliability under stress, not sunshine. Audit your own estimates against actuals every Friday. Audit marketing by cost per qualified conversation, not clicks. Audit offerings by renewal rate and unpaid emotional labor. Replace the thrill of new with the peace of retained. Replace busy metrics with banked receipts. Replace asking to be seen with being impossible to ignore. Replace urgency with cadence you dictate. Keep a list of non-negotiables and show it to yourself daily. Keep a list of slow burns that will pay in a year. Keep a list of people who open doors for you and invest back. Keep a list of phrases you never say again about money. You sign agreements as the counterparty who brings order. You walk hallways like you already know your floor. You choose seats where decisions get made, not where snacks live. You leave early when rooms pillage your standards. You carry cash for tips and pay promptly with card for trace. You keep receipts squared and logged before the day closes. You sort documents by action, waiting, archive, and bin. You clear 5 low-value tabs and keep the one that pays. Your offers read like nautical charts with depth and hazards marked. Your timelines read like tides, predictable and printed. Your budget reads like a captain's log, precise and dated. Your brand reads like a flag others recognize at sea. You set boundaries that withstand weather and charm alike. You protect time as if it sold tickets at the door. You reward reliability faster than charm or noise. You practice calm the way others practice panic. If someone arrives late, you note it and adjust scope next time. If someone delays payment, you pause delivery until clearance. If someone crowds your rate, you walk them to the door kindly. If someone tries to rush, you price the pressure without guilt. You move through hotel lobbies with unhurried steps and clear eyes. You scan menus for quality inputs, not showy names. You greet staff with respect and remember first names. You tip well and leave spaces better than you found them. You set your wardrobe to speak quietly of fit and function. You choose watches and shoes for durability and signal. You keep your phone face down in meetings you lead. You carry a pen that always writes and a card that always clears. Run a 24-hour protocol that deepens wealth posture now. Chart tomorrow's top 3 revenue actions on 1 index card. File 2 boundary emails that tighten scope and timing. Stamp your site with a visible minimum and stand by it. Tally yesterday's numbers and compare to last week's line. Settle 1 lingering expense that clutters your headspace. Stow 10% into reserves before breakfast. Reconcile the calendar against contracts by sundown. Your language shifts from someday to scheduled. Your thoughts shift from hope to numbers on paper. Your behavior shifts from checkout lines to ownership lines. Your outcomes shift because your identity holds the helm. You carry millions in how you wait your turn. You carry millions in how you end a meeting on time. You carry millions in how you correct an invoice without heat. You carry millions in how you say no without footnotes. When markets swing, you tighten sails and hold course. When peers panic, you study the chart and adjust trim. When clients wobble, you offer options and keep pace. When plans slip, you compress scope and deliver core. You learn to love boring money because it compounds quietly. You learn to love repeatable wins because they stack. You learn to love clean books because they sleep well. You learn to love long games because they pay without noise. You invest in skills that raise your day rate permanently. You invest in tools that shorten delivery time reliably. You invest in assets that pay while you sleep honestly. You invest in people who make you sharper under pressure. Your yes is a contract, even if not yet signed. Your handshake matches your invoice tone. Your calendar blocks match your bank statements. Your results match your promises when it rains. Walk onto the pier each morning with a clear course and steady breath. Walk off each evening with logs updated and mind light. Walk through each day with the same cadence in any weather. Walk past distractions like buoys that mark the channel, not invitations. You carry liquidity in how you pause before you answer. You treat each choice like a contract with your future. You keep your posture steady when numbers enter the room. You let your calendar prove what your mouth declares. Identity fixes the heading and your results fall in line. Evidence arrives because you act as if settlement already clears. Coherence tightens your wake, so opportunities track your path. Precision turns vague effort into billable motion. You clean your offer until a stranger can repeat it. You simplify the path so the money can move without friction. You set floors that protect your energy and your name. You set ceilings that stretch your capacity without tearing. You write scope that fits the hull you actually steer. You price pain out of the relationship before it starts. Scene: the marina office smells of salt and paper. You review insurance clauses with a pen and a quiet brow. You ask for exclusions in writing and mark renewal dates. You sign once, shake once, and file the copy in your case. No drama, no flair, only terms you can enforce. Scene: a lunch with a potential partner by the water. You discuss milestones with dates, not feelings. You divide roles so handoffs are clean and quick. You agree to revisit the rate when the metric hits. The bill arrives and you pay your share without theater. Scene: evening light across your workspace and a muted clock. You open the ledger and match receipts to lines. You adjust forecasts until they reflect the month you want. You send 2 proposals, short, accurate, payable now. You close the book and sleep like a harbor after dusk. Chart your language so it spends respect, not approval. Chart your offers so buyers can dock without guesswork. Chart your week so deep work sits where it earns. Chart your year so reserves rise even when noise does. Trim bravado that hides a shaky floor. Trim flattery that tries to buy time you never get back. Trim half promises that corrode your authority. Trim meetings that produce paragraphs and zero revenue. Stow a clean pen and a spare charger in your bag. Stow a printed rate card behind your ID. Stow a checklist for handovers at the top of your stack. Stow your next invoice number where you can reach it in seconds. Signal certainty by sending numbers in whole sentences. Signal boundaries by pausing when someone blurs scope. Signal pace by answering during business hours only. Signal partnership by delivering early once and exactly on time always after. Stamp your minimum on your homepage and on your wall. Stamp your meeting notes with a next step and a date. Stamp your proposals with a short expiry that serves both sides. Stamp your tasks with start lines, not someday. File contracts in a single directory named for this quarter. File receipts within the day they land. File decisions in a journal you can scan in 5 minutes. File regrets in the bin and move your feet. Tally wins in ink because ink builds memory. Tally misses without story because story is a stall. Tally margins weekly so drift does not eat the month. Tally renewals so you can forecast without superstition. Reconcile talk and delivery until they are twins. Reconcile estimates with actuals until your word becomes a ruler. Reconcile attention with priorities so noise stops renting space. Reconcile identity with behavior so money recognizes you. Settle the invoice that keeps whispering in your head. Settle the conversation you keep postponing because it leaks. Settle the price list and stop editing it in fear. Settle into a cadence buyers can feel and follow. More your standards where charm cannot tug them loose. More your hours where only work that pays can reach them. More your loyalty to performance, not promises. More your reputation to outcomes, not optics. Birth your ambitions in plans with horsepower and dates. Birth your products in markets that breathe cash, not applause. Birth your attention in the lane that multiplies your edge. Birth your patience where compound interest can see you. Steer with numbers when the water turns choppy. Steer with policy when pressure tries to blur you. Steer with clarity when opinions thicken the air. Steer with silence when manipulation hunts for gaps. Ballast your day with one hard task before noon. Ballast your quarter with one asset that pays without you. Ballast your week with one renewal you secure early. Ballast your brand with one promise you never break. You speak less and invoice clearer. You listen deeper and decide faster. You move slower in hallways and quicker on paper. You keep the same face whether the wire lands or waits. Price cleanly and let the buyer choose their level. Price the option to move faster and deliver the same quality. Price the change, not the friendship. Price the access, not the flattery. Audit your offers for bloat that hides risk. Audit your calendar for noise that sells nothing. Audit your circle for people who hold a line. Audit your scripts for words that sell you short. Replace nervous laughs with a steady nod. Replace apologies with a choice between paths. Replace extra adjectives with a number and a date. Replace speculation with a test you can run by Friday. Keep your receipts squared and searchable. Keep your cash float visible and fenced. Keep your tax reserved and out of reach. Keep your reserves above a threshold you refuse to cross. Build a scorecard you check without fail. Build a wait list so hurry never owns you. Build a cadence so buyers know when to dock. Build a library so you keep learning without noise. Adjust rates when demand proves the gap. Adjust scope when data shows the load. Adjust timelines when quality calls for air. Adjust crew when standards outrun current hands. Bank goodwill by finishing when others would flinch. Bank time by deleting tasks that dress like work. Bank leverage by documenting what repeats. Bank trust by responding exactly when you say you will. Collect renewals like quiet votes of confidence. Collect introductions like keys to doors. Collect lessons like charts for storms you will meet again. Collect quiet mornings like reserves for your mind. Your appearance says discipline without shouting a brand name. Your email lines read like you respect their minutes. Your handshake matches the firmness of your terms. Your eye contact tells them you count to the penny. When the room tilts toward panic, you flatten the table with facts. When a buyer asks for proof, you open the ledger and point. When a project swells, you anchor scope and trim with care. When a deadline slides, you call it tight and reset the plan. Scene, a quiet car dealership with soft lighting and sharp lines. You ask for total cost of owning, not monthly slices. You check service history, parts availability, and residual value. You decline the extras that do not move safety or resale. You walk out if the numbers drift, calm and unbothered. Scene, a charity office with a bulletin board and steady volunteers. You give within a budget you already set. You request a receipt and mark it for records. You leave with a lighter heart and unchanged pace. Scene, a supplier warehouse with forklifts humming. You inspect packaging, lead times, and defect rates. You agree penalties for lateness in plain language. You shake hands and note the date for review. Rehearse the end state by dressing like you respect your calendar. Rehearse the end state by walking the corridor like you pay rent there. Rehearse the end state by stating your number before your story. Rehearse the end state by ending meetings on the dot. Pre-commit by booking a quarterly review with your accountant today. Pre-commit by automatic transfers that fire without mood. Pre-commit by publishing your minimum so you cannot wriggle. Pre-commit by telling one ally the line you will not cross. Your standards become weatherproof. Your tempo becomes a market signal. Your word becomes a clearinghouse. Your results become predictable enough to price. You no longer chase bright lures across open water. You select channels that align with your hull and your map. You hold course long enough for the tide to assist. You dock each day with fuel left for tomorrow. You treat your name like collateral. You treat your time like inventory. You treat your attention like capital allocation. You treat your choices like filings that outlive the moment. Write one line that governs money talk under stress. Place it on your desk where your eyes fall first. Repeat it before you answer any question about scope. Keep it unchanged until evidence requires a raise. You do not borrow certainty from noise. You do not rent your standards to hurry. You do not trade sleep for applause. You do not spend trust without an equally strong deposit. Your gate reads as paid in full even before it is. Your schedule reads as owner, not applicant. Your tone reads as settlement, not speculation. Your presence reads as premium, not pressure. Walk the pier tonight and choose tomorrow's 3 moves. Walk the hall after the meeting and send the recap. Walk the main street like the invoice cleared, posture calm and kind. Walk home with your mind quiet and your map set. You carry surplus in your silence when others rush to fill it. You carry standards in your shoes when you cross any lobby. You carry terms in your palm when the pen meets the page. You carry yield in your patience when noise tries to bait you. Identity sets the draft and your hull answers with steadiness. Evidence follows because your behavior no longer bargains. Coherence turns scattered effort into a single wake. Precision makes price a sentence, not a speech. You chart mornings for earned work, not errands. You chart afternoons for decisions and delivery. You chart evenings for review and recovery. You chart rest days because rested minds build better. You trim words until your offer fits on one card. You trim steps until the buyer can pay in 2 clicks. You trim features until maintenance no longer drags. You trim inputs until only quality remains. You stow pride that argues with data. You stow fear that edits numbers downward. You stow gossip that corrodes pace. You stow clutter that hides the next step. You stamp agreements with clarity that survives pressure. You stamp timelines with buffers that protect quality. You stamp handovers with owners and dates. You stamp invoices with terms that align with reality. You tally what compounds and bin what flatters. You tally hours that earn and drop hours that pose. You tally wins that repeat and ignore spikes that vanish. You tally leads by source, not story. You reconcile self-image with bank statements without flinch. You reconcile scope with capacity before you say yes. You reconcile ambition with calendar blocks you protect. You reconcile loyalty with performance so standards hold. You settle outstanding promises before they stain your name. You settle scope creep before it rents your sleep. You settle disputes with facts and timestamps. You settle rates upward when demand outpaces supply. You moor boundaries where charm cannot move them. You moor attention where returns are proven. You moor relationships to clear roles and reviews. You moor free time to the same respect as paid time. You birth big goals in quarters with horsepower attached. You birth new offers after pilots, not vibes. You birth savings where you cannot tap them by mood. You birth reputation where delivery keeps paying. You steer your day by forecast, not feelings. You steer conversations by decisions, not drama. You steer pricing by evidence, not envy. You steer hiring by standards, not rush. You ballast mornings with one hard, high-yield task. You ballast weeks with one renewal secured early. You ballast quarters with one asset that pays while you sleep. You ballast brand with one pledge you never break. Scene, a quiet boardroom with a long table and clear glass. You present 3 options with fixed prices and fixed outcomes. You pause for questions and hold the line on scope. You close with dates, deliverables, and wiring details. Scene, a studio where you record a short talk on your method. You outline steps, tools, and timelines without fluff. You list results and invite qualified buyers to book. You publish and log the link in your tracker. Scene, a Saturday morning walk by water and cranes. You think in numbers and seasons, not hours and noise. You decide the next offer you will test on Monday. You smile because your map is printed and visible. Run a 24-hour protocol that tightens wealth posture without fanfare. Chart tomorrow's 3 revenue moves and place the card by your keys. File 1 raise email for a long-term client with clear reasons. Stamp your homepage with a visible floor by midnight. Tally today's revenue, expenses, pipeline, and reserves before dinner. Settle 1 vendor balance you keep postponing. Stow 10% into reserves before you fund leisure. Reconcile calendar blocks with contracts by 8 in the evening. Rehearse arrival by walking as if rooms already recognize you. Rehearse steadiness by reading your rate aloud and closing your mouth. Rehearse clarity by stating price before story in every call. Rehearse ownership by leaving meetings on the exact minute. Pre-commit by publishing your minimum where buyers must see it. Pre-commit by locking a Friday review you never miss. Pre-commit by telling a peer your new floor and asking for a check-in. Pre-commit by scheduling transfers that fire before you wake. You audit noise like a guard at a gate. You audit offers for any line that cannot be delivered. You audit marketing by booked calls, not watchers. You audit hours by conversion to revenue, not presence. You replace urgency with cadence and close. You replace discounts with packages and tiers. You replace open-ended favors with paid options. You replace vague promises with a start date and a finish line. You keep the same tone when a wire lands late. You keep the same face when a quote is questioned. You keep the same pace when a project asks to sprawl. You keep the same standard when charm tries to bend it. You build reserves that make you generous on purpose. You build documentation that makes you faster next time. You build training that makes others keep your standard. You build goodwill that makes renewals feel inevitable. You adjust rates when calendars fill for 6 weeks straight. You adjust scope when metrics prove the load. You adjust team when excellence requires more hands. You adjust lanes when data shows a stronger route. You bank time by deleting tasks that dress as urgency. You bank trust by delivering early once per project. You bank leverage by writing playbooks that repeat. You bank access by treating every handoff like a promise. You collect testimonials that speak in numbers, not adjectives. You collect introductions that lead to buyers, not fans. You collect lessons after every delivery and log them. You collect quiet wins that compound while others chase sparks. You select channels where qualified buyers wait with intent. You select partners who carry their side without reminders. You select rooms where decisions happen, not where chatter grows. You select clients who respect scope the first time. You protect mornings from chatter and cheap tasks. You protect budgets from leakage masked as kindness. You protect energy from meetings with no price. You protect evenings from screens that sell panic. You guard standards like a captain guards charts. You guard names in your network by making clean referrals. You guard your minimum against charming stories. You guard your focus against feeds that sell anxiety. You secure better terms by arriving with proof and calm. You secure peace by refusing unpaid urgency. You secure reputation by finishing on time without noise. You secure options by keeping cash and credibility high. When markets wobble, you trim sail and keep heading. When friends rush, you hold cadence and choose your lane. When buyers hesitate, you offer two paths and pause. When plans slip, you compress scope and honor quality. Your walk reads as settled before settlement arrives. Your email reads as paid without shouting price. Your meeting closes read as clean without pressure. Your invoice is read as inevitable because delivery is near. Write one line that governs decisions when stress climbs. Place it where your eyes fall when you sit. Read it before you reply or accept any work. Keep it the same until the numbers demand an increase. You do not chase lures that glitter and vanish. You do not rent peace from purchases you cannot justify. You do not dilute scope to buy applause. You do not spend trust faster than you earn it. You chart for storms and for sun, and you keep moving. You trim when weight creeps in, and you keep moving. You stow what is loose, and you keep moving. You birth on schedule, and you keep moving. You speak in numbers when numbers are needed. You speak in options when decisions are due. You speak in dates when schedules drift. You speak in silence when negotiation asks for it. You price like you respect yourself and the buyer. You price like your future needs fuel. You price like you plan to deliver under rain. You price like you intend to renew. You aim for boring receipts that stack without noise. You aim for clean books that earn trust. You aim for steady cadence that buyers can predict. You aim for reputation that opens doors before you knock. Scene: a museum gallery with quiet air and measured steps. You study the curation and think about your own catalog. You note how placement changes value without a word. You leave knowing your work needs white space and light. Scene: a harbor pilot steps aboard and you nod. You exchange charts and confirm the tide and draft. You proceed with small corrections and no drama. You berth exactly where you planned, rope tight and neat. Scene: your kitchen table at dawn with a notebook and tea. You list 3 revenue moves and 1 learning task. You check reserves and the week's forecast. You close the book and begin without delay. Run one more 24-hour sequence to lock identity into habit. Chart a 1-page plan for pricing, pipeline, and product. File 2 outreach notes to buyers you respect. Stamp 1 contract template with stronger terms. Tally 3 metrics at close: revenue, margin, runway. Settle 1 tiny debt that hums in the background. Stow a percentage into an index fund before lunch. Reconcile receipts before you put your bag down tonight. Your presence becomes a quiet promise that cash respects. Your process becomes a path others can follow. Your portfolio becomes a statement without noise. Your day becomes a ledger that closes clean. Hold millions in how you move through corridors. Hold millions in how you close with 1 clear line. Hold millions in how you say no without edge. Hold millions in how you keep pace when storms arrive. You no longer over-explain price because you honor scope. You no longer accept chaos because you chart the day. You no longer chase because you own selection. You no longer shrink because you stand on numbers. Walk to the gangway and place both feet across. Walk to your berth and tie lines in the order you wrote. Walk the pier once, breathing like a metronome for calm. Walk back inside and begin the work you already priced. Type keel steady below and then chart 3 moves, send 1 invoice, bank 10%. Subscribe for more, and then watch the next piece on pricing power under pressure.